Hello, everyone. It is the divisional round episode of Stacking the Box. Iain MacMillan here, Sterling Holmes here. Sterling, how are you doing today, my friend? We are just days away from your Kansas City Chiefs returning to action.
Yeah, I'm golden. I'm super excited. We have, the team that I cover and root for, the Chiefs. They're still in the playoffs. Our producer right now, Sean, he's a Eagles guy. His team is still in the playoffs. So it sounds like, 2/3 of the people's teams that are on this show is currently in the playoffs. So things are good.
Yeah, we got an exciting divisional round. The wild card weekend kind of didn't quite live up to expectations. There's really only one good game. This round, I think we're at least going to get 2 of the 4 games are going to be good. We'll see. But if things go the way people expect, I think really what's going to be must-watch TV is going to be next weekend for the conference championship. But we could have a few good games. One of them definitely going to be, I think, Sunday night between the Ravens and the Bills.
Sean already taking shots at you. He messaged us and goes, now that I'm looking at it, Ian's bracket's looking rough. Yeah, of course. Good call, Sean. Like we all said it was. His bracket was 2 scoops of ass. If you looked at my bracket looking pretty good right now. Pretty good. I don't know if I've really missed any so far. I might be 100% right now. I can't remember if I actually was the bold one that still took the Steelers over the Ravens. I can't remember if I officially did that.
I think you did.
So that I think that's the only one I missed.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like to have a little fun. I like to make some bold calls, and the bold calls didn't work out for me in the opening round. I do still have my Super Bowl champion, the Ravens, alive, but they will not be taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because of purely bad luck from the Buccaneers. So,
yeah. That's what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Matthew says, Ian, since you convinced Kirk Cousins to come to Atlanta, I think the Falcons should be able to recoup some of the money on his contract from you. Well, considering I never even got a cut of like a recruiting fee, then no, I don't think so. If I don't get any recruiting fee, then I don't have to pay anything back.
You should have gotten a recruiting fee.
I should have.
You should have. But now I feel like it is kind of your fault.
Yeah, but Sterling, when we're in New Orleans here, my actual main goal when we're down there is to play the role of recruiter, and I will continue to root for the Atlanta Falcons. My first official recruit, Kirk Cousins, didn't work out, but I feel confident I can recruit some other players to Atlanta.
Yeah, I tried with Michael Pittman Jr. for the Chiefs. I tried last year.
Yeah.
He's kind of a farm guy, has his farms out there in Indy. I'm like, hey, you know who else has farmland? Hey, check out Kansas and Missouri. There's a great place to live.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, man, I love Indy. But I will say now with Anthony Richardson throwing him the football, things might be different.
Yep. Facts. All right, let's get into game-by-game preview. Obviously, we're going to go in chronological order as we always do, starting with, funny enough, the Texans and the Chiefs, because I know I said it on Monday, but once again, the Texans slotted into the Saturday afternoon game. Even the Chiefs and Taylor Swift can't drag the Texans to a primetime game in the playoffs Saturday afternoon, which it does make sense, though, that the two teams that had a bye week have to play on the first day on Saturday. So we're starting off with Texans and Chiefs. Sterling, just give your general thoughts on this game as a Chiefs guy while I go let my crying cat out of the room.
Yeah, of course, and you're totally right on that. The Texans will always play a 3:30 game. You could take your kid on Halloween, go and get some candy, go trick-or-treating right there, and the kid might ask you, when did the Texans play in the playoffs? And you can just look at them and say, son, they play at 3:30. Because they always play at 3:30. But I think the Chiefs have a pretty good advantage in this one. This is what a lot of Chiefs fans wanted matchup-wise. As good as the Texans' defensive line is, I have immense respect for the build job that DeMeco Ryans and the Texans have gone through over the past 2 seasons. They've done a lot of things right. They've done almost everything right. They've been unfortunate with Stephon Diggs. They've been unfortunate with Tank Dell and the injuries that they've sustained. But overall, I think they've done a great job. The issue is, one, their offensive line is brutal, and especially on the interior. Turk Wharton, Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu, George Karlaftis overall. Karlaftis less so because he'll be going up against Laramie Tunsil. They should feast in this one. The Texans really struggle to get things going when they cannot run the football with Joe Mixon. The Chiefs are very good stopping the run. Nick Bolton will play a big factor, in my opinion, in this game. It's going to be difficult because once the Texans don't get Mixon involved early, their offense can sputter and sputter to a halt fairly quickly. And if they're playing from behind, that spells trouble with, again, all the injuries they have sustained. Now, where the Texans do have the advantage is their defensive line. Will Anderson Jr., Danico Autry, Mario Edwards, Tim Settle, Danielle Hunter. I mean, they are loaded on that defensive line. And we saw it against the Chargers. They were causing havoc and wreaking havoc on the interior specifically. The issue is the Chiefs' interior is their strong suit. So that neutralizes, as we saw the previous matchup, guys like Tim Settle, who are good interior pass rushers. They will no longer get pressure up the middle. But you do have to watch out for Danielle Hunter. You do have to watch out for Will Anderson Jr., especially with the question marks at tackle for Kansas City. The difference is the Chiefs, they get the ball out quick. Patrick gets the ball out quick. That's not the mantra of the Chargers. The mantra of the Chargers is run the ball, play action. Then they have these long drops that try to let plays develop down the field, and that ended up in sacks. The Chiefs are able to neutralize those guys, in my opinion, not trying to be a homer, just what I've seen over the past couple of games, specifically as they headed into the playoffs. I think this is a very, very difficult matchup for a talented Texans team that is injured. Their franchise is going in the right direction. They're just matching up against a buzzsaw.
Do you have any concern at all for the Chiefs potentially coming out slow due to rust? Because having 1 week off is one thing. Having 2 weeks off, it gets a little sketchy. The Chiefs starters haven't played since Christmas against. What's that?
It's now 3 weeks off for the Chiefs starters.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess it'll be it's like 2.5 though, isn't it?
It's 23 to 24 days for the Chiefs starters. Because they had the Steelers game on a Wednesday.
Right, so that would make wouldn't that make it 2.5 weeks?
No, 3.5 weeks basically.
Okay. Regardless, then my point stands. This is a long time for starters not to play football. Does that concern you at all?
I say yes to an extent, but I also dislike when we say, well, rest is so important, it's so paramount, it's the biggest gift you can get this time of season. And then also at the same time use that as a negative. I hate it in baseball. I've always thought it was silly, right? When teams because the Chiefs, you earn that first round bye. So when people are like in baseball, well, we almost wish we would have played that first round instead of having the bye so we could stay, keep your head in the game. No, you take the bye because you don't want to worry about the loss. The Chiefs would for 100% are saying this is better. Yeah, 24 days, says Sean. The bye is better because you don't have the risk of losing to and getting upset by a certain team, right? So, yeah, there's a slight risk for rust, but I think it'll be knocked off after the first drive. I think rest is way more important for guys like Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, who was injured, by the way, Patrick Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, both those guys were worn down, banged up at the end of the season. You have a chance of getting Jalen Watson back in this game, their cornerback who's missed the majority of the season, looked really good early on. Yeah, to me, if you're ranking them, that rest is way more important and will have a bigger value to me than the potential rust value.
Yeah, but there is a diminishing return for rest, though, Sterling. This is very different than just a first-round bye. This is, a Sean pointed out, 24 days, which I don't think we've ever seen a professional team take off 24 days and then come back in a playoff spot. This is uncharted territory for a team because there is diminishing return. I mean, look at players who don't play in the preseason. I mean, that's obviously a lot more than 24 days. That's 8 months. But there is still eventually a time when rest is too much and rust does kind of take over.
If I had, and again, I'm not trying to be a homer, so if this comes off like that, you can have your opinion on this. Andy Reid is so good off of a bye. The players, the coaches, they respect Andy so much. They're in shape. This is the playoffs. I get what you're saying in regards to the preseason. That is a longer time off. Preseason doesn't matter for those guys as much. This is the postseason. They understand it's win or go home. They understand what's at stake. All these guys, at least most of them, have been in at least one Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs. They understand this. They understand the grind. They understand the mentality and the thought process. This is not going to sneak up on them, right? Am I giving too much credit to Andy Reid and the players themselves? Maybe I am. Would I give the same credence if this was, let's say, the Buffalo Bills who had that time off, but they've never won a Super Bowl? Maybe not, but the Chiefs have been there, done that before. I I guess I'm
They haven't
less
had
worried.
24 days off before.
No,
Which
you're
I
right.
guess is where
They
my
haven't.
concern comes in. If this was 1 week, even 2 weeks, then I'd say, sure, they're experienced enough in these spots to overcome it, but 24 days is crazy.
They've had horrible connection to the deep ball all season long. So if they miss on the deep ball, it's not because of the rest. It's because they've not hit on the deep ball all season long to begin with. I'm just not worried that this team has been so much more physical than in previous seasons that I think that rust factor matters less. I'm sorry, I just do, and I'm not trying to be a homer because I had this conversation before. We talked about this for Chiefs fans well prior to this conversation. We talked about it, and I ended up on the side of I rest my guys. You rest them. You take the 24 days.
Yeah, 24 just seems like a lot of days to me, though.
Agreed.
Nick Wright. I was going to say something. I forgot it was. Now I remember. Nick Wright called this Saturday's game for the Chiefs their final practice before their season begins.
Dumb. Hate it. I hate it. I hate that. Because, and one of the reasons why I hate it, and I get it, that's kind of his shtick. Yeah. So I'm not going to try and rip on his shtick and his thing. But for me personally, that's almost negating everything Chiefs fans have gone through himself. I know he's a KC guy for years. The struggle of even making the playoffs, let alone winning a playoff game, to me, that's almost a slap in the face to all the Chiefs fans who have grown up prior to that, prior to this golden age and golden era of football. This still matters to me. Like, I still get giddy. I still get excited. The fan in me. I take it away when I talk Chiefs. You know that. I really do my best to try and be unbiased. I really do, to not be a homer. But when I watch the game, yeah, of course, my fandom growing up, always being in Kansas City and always watching the Chiefs, it will come out. I still get excited before every single playoff Chiefs game. And the Texans are a good team. There's a reason why they're in the playoffs. They're a good team. There's a reason why they beat the LA Chargers, who I think we all kind of agree were a pretty good team. They played some good football. Their defense is so damn talented. I have immense respect for D'Amico Ryans, CJ Stroud, and that team in Houston. So I'm not overlooking Houston because any given Sunday rings true. No overlooking for me.
So I famously guaranteed the Chiefs were going to lose their first playoff game. When I said that, I was hoping they weren't going to get the 1 seed. I was hoping it was going to be Buffalo gets the 1 seed because that was still a possibility at the time. And then they'd have to play the Ravens in the first round. Unfortunately, my guarantee is now stuck me with having to back the Texans. So I have bet the Texans to win this game at plus 375, almost 4 to 1 odds. Can I make a case for the Texans?
Oh, I'd love to hear it because I think there is a case to be made.
Now, this isn't going to work because you know what team I'm talking about because we've been talking about this game. But if I were to blind resume, just list off these stats, and I know you're not the biggest stats guy in the world, but net yards per play, Chiefs last amongst all playoff teams, 20th in the NFL right now, net yards per play. EPA 9th, opponent EPA 15th, success rate 8th, opponent success rate 13th, red zone touchdown percentage 22nd, opponent red zone touchdown percentage 8th, third down 3rd, and then opponent third down 27th. Though that's not the makeup of a team that deserves to be 15-2. That's not the makeup of a team that deserves to be an 8.5-point favorite in the divisional round against a division winner. It's just not. Now, I get you have Patrick Mahomes. I get there's some voodoo. I get they do. They pray to the football gods in the locker room before they go out and everything goes their way and they have the experience. No, hold on. No.
No, I got some stats to bring back to you.
Well, hold on. You had your chance to talk Chiefs. I'm defending the Texans, and then we'll get back to you.
Yeah, defend the Titans that you have all season long.
The Chiefs' biggest strength, and this is what I'll give to them, and it's why they are 15-2, and it's why they've managed to win games that overall necessarily I don't think they're the better team in it. And it comes to their third down offense. When it gets to third down, it's a mix of coaching. It's a mix of Patrick Mahomes, but they create some kind of magic on third down. It's why of all those stats that I listed, they rank 3rd in the NFL in third down conversion percentage. They were 1st for a long time. It seems like every time they're playing a team, it's 3rd and 12, and Patrick Mahomes will avoid the sack. Someone will touch him, will squirm out of the pocket, and then get a first down with his legs by half a yard. It could be 3rd and 18. He'll rush for 18.5 yards. It could be 3rd and 27. He'll probably throw to Kelsey and he'll get a 27.5 yard gain. They always do just enough on third down to keep the drives alive. And if they do come up a little bit short, they'll go for it on 4th and get it anyways. So if there is going to be a team that's going to challenge the Chiefs and potentially upset them, it has to be a team that plays extremely well on third down defensively. And the Texans are a top 3 third down defense team. Third in the NFL in opponent third down conversion rate, fourth in the NFL in opponent EPA on third down. The Texans, if they can just stop the Chiefs on third down more often than not, they're going to be live in this game. These two teams played back on December 21st. I know it was an 8-point win for the Chiefs. Yards per play was 5.4 to 5.4. It was a wash for yards per play. That game was closer than the final box score indicated. I think the Texans are going to be live in this game. I think the Chiefs are going to be rusty to come out. I think the Texans have a chance to establish the run, take an early lead. And is it going to be a blow? No. Are the Texans even going to win? I'm not even going to say that they are, even though I have bet on them and I have guaranteed it. This will be a close game. That's going to come down to the wire.
Yeah, I again, some of the numbers that you brought up, not arguing them. I find yards per play to be a little overvalued. Again, anytime that you say that, you find a statistic like that, and you said they're 20th in the NFL in yards per play overall. Was that what you said?
Net yards per play, the Chiefs 20th. Yeah, minus 0.2.
Yeah, I mean,
last amongst all remaining teams.
Yeah, that. I'm going to have some questions. I will always have questions about that, and part of that's because the Chiefs have not been explosive this year, so they're not going to have a lot of explosive plays. They are going to average about 5 yards of play, which, believe it or not, 2 of those makes a first down. 3 of those will for sure make a first down. The Chiefs have long, drawn-out possessions. They're just a lot different than the Chiefs that I think a lot of people are used to seeing. So without the explosiveness, everyone thinks that means their offense is bad. Their offense is not bad. It's just different. You brought up the third down percentage. A lot of the reason why they're so good on third down, second in the NFL, completing 48.5% of third downs, it's because they're third and short almost perpetually. Yeah, they don't have a play where it's 20 yards on first down, but it's 4, then it's 3rd and 2, and they pick it up. They just keep the chains moving. It's just different. So that's more or less some of my pushback, and they don't turn the ball over, which the Chargers didn't either, right? But do you expect Patrick Mahomes to have 4 interceptions? 3 interceptions?
No.
2 interceptions?
No.
You don't. And I understand Herbert only had 3 all season long, but no one is comparing Herbert to Patrick, especially come playoff time. So when you look at the giveaways, when you look at the third down percentage, the Chiefs' offense just moves the ball effectively. They move it efficiently, just not explosively. And I will also point out the Chiefs' offense looked a lot better when Hollywood Brown came back, because you have Hollywood, DeAndre Hopkins, and Xavier Worthy. The 3-headed monster now with a healthy, rested Travis Kelce that is dangerous for any team to go against. You have Isaiah Pacheco back and healthy. You have Kareem Hunt now who was rested. You have a much better offensive weaponry than the Chiefs have had earlier on and even through the 3/4 mark of the season. And not only that, when you look at the Chiefs' defense, they're good in the red zone. They're 8th in the red zone touchdown percentage. That's pretty darn good. That's top 3rd. So even if the Texans do move the football, that's not guaranteeing them 6 or 7 points. The only question I would have, again, is the tackles going up against the elite pass rush of the Houston Texans, and how healthy is Harrison Butker? I talked to Chiefs Hall of Fame kicker Nick Lowry today, and Nick told me he's not worried at all about Harrison Butker. They spoke today. Dave Tobe spoke today. Harrison Butker's power is back in his leg, which leads me to believe that they were saying that he didn't have, 55-plus yard range in his leg where he currently sat. But with the rest, Butker is getting that strength back. So for me personally, the Texans are a good team. I respect the hell out of them. They can win. But when you break down the battle, at least on paper, I find myself really liking the Chiefs. Taking my fandom out, I like the Chiefs a lot over this Houston Texans team.
Is your point about the Chiefs having 3rd and short more than other teams, is that true? I've been desperately trying to find. I know I can find that somewhere, but I have not been able to find it.
I would have to imagine
those stats exist.
I would have to try and look up if there's like an average third down margin. I would imagine the Eagles are probably pretty good, and I'd imagine the Chiefs are probably up there as well. A lot of that is obviously going to be anecdotal because I've watched every single Chiefs game this year and broke down every single Chiefs game this year. But the Chiefs have had so many 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. They just don't have explosive plays. And that's why you're going to see their yards per play. The net yards per play is going to be driven down when you're not having explosive plays, especially in the run game.
Yeah. We'll see. I think the Texans, even though they are not as skilled as the Chiefs, I do think they match up well with Kansas City. Your point's well taken about the red zone offense. That's a huge concern for me, especially because the Texans, even though very good on third down defensively, not very good in the red zone defensively. So, yeah, we'll see. Jalen in the chat says the Chiefs will have to beat themselves to lose this game. Don't necessarily agree. I don't think they can beat themselves. And of course, the Texans will have to play a B game. Oh, the Texans are going to have to play an A+ game to have a chance. Matthew says the Chiefs rest their guys because they didn't want to have a Christian Watson or Zay Flowers situation happen. I have zero worries about rest. Well, and this is my issue. This was kind of my point bringing up earlier. And Sterling, you are kind of in the same page as Matthew, which that's all well and good. I feel like I'm not able to drive home the fact it's 24 days. You guys keep talking about this like it's 1 week. 24 days is over 3 weeks. I thought it was 2.5 weeks. I was wrong. 3.5 weeks. That's a long time. This is not just a normal bye week to rest players. We've never seen this, not only in the NFL, we've never seen this in professional sports. So for you guys to be this confident that there's not going to be any rust because of previous 1 week buys, I think is incorrect.
Fair. Again, we're just going to agree to disagree. I'm going to be on the side of the back-to-back Super Bowl champions, and you can be on the side of the unknown.
Wash Allen, Larry Sports Talk. Are you actually? Is that a typo, or are you calling him Wash Allen? Because that is kind of a funny.
That's pretty funny.
It is kind of a funny nickname. Wash Allen beats Lamar. Lamar wins MVP. Mahomes wins the Super Bowl. Yeah, this is. NFL script writers, give us something different. That's all I'm trying to say. This is why I'm so anti-Chiefs. I want to see a different fan base win, a different player. If Lamar wins MVP and the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, it's like, why even did we play this season if we're just going to get the same result? Who wants that outside of Chiefs fans? Nobody.
And Baltimore fans.
Chiefs fans won't cover the number like they have all season. Yeah, I mean, I took Texans money line, but Texans getting 8.5 points against the Chiefs who can't beat anyone with margin, that's going to be an easy one. All right, we can't spend all show, Sterling, talking about the Chiefs. Let's move on to Saturday night, the other team that had a bye week, but they are only a 1 week bye because they did play their starters in week 18 against the Vikings. It is the Lions, the biggest favorites of the week, not the Chiefs. It is the Lions, 9.5 point home favorites, total 55.5 against the Washington Commanders, who were the only wild card team to advance to the divisional round. The divisional round, 7 of the 8 teams are division winners. The only division winner didn't advance the divisional round comes from the NFC South. Not a good look for our division.
Yeah, I like the Commanders. I liked them in this game. Not against the Lions, but I liked them in that previous game against the Buccaneers. Very close game. Fun game. Wasn't quite as high scoring as we all thought, but still a very, very enjoyable game to watch. Jayden Daniels is just incredible. He did what C.J. Stroud did last year, right? Where he took a team that is heading in the correct direction. They think they have the right head coach, but didn't have a ton of pieces, right? This year, Houston had a lot more pieces, just injuries happened. But the Commanders this year didn't have a lot of pieces. They had some guys. They had Terry McLaurin, but they drafted this amazing quarterback who we both said was 1-1.
Yep.
And you see why. Not just his legs, but his arm and his ability to stay calm in pressure situations, to understand the moment, not be too big as a rookie is huge. I don't think they win this game. They probably cover because 9.5 is so much, and a backdoor can totally happen. They're explosive offensively. They just need a couple more, at least one more year before I think the Commanders are ready to compete with the Eagles and the Lions and that more upper echelon of the NFC. But they're close because they have the quarterback. They, I think, have the head coach. They have Terry McLaurin. The offensive line was below average to average this year. They just need a few more weapons, maybe some offensive line. The defense was just okay. They had been fairly inconsistent at times. I've just been very impressed with the Commanders' rebuild in just one season. That's fun if you're a Commanders fan. Do not be upset if you lose this. Even if you get blown out, don't be upset, Commanders fans.
Oh, the Commanders are playing with house money right now. What a beautiful time to be a Commanders fan.
It's awesome. The Lions have a lot of pressure. The Lions do.
Yep.
And when you have a lot of pressure against a explosive offensive team, that can cause some chaos. I just trust Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Dan Campbell. I think the Lions, even with their plethora of injuries, are just so damn talented. I like the Commanders to cover, but this Lions team still feels like a juggernaut. At least I think they make it to the NFC Championship game because I think they're that talented.
Yeah, I'm surprised the spread is as big as it is, but I don't necessarily want to take the Commanders because every time I've doubted the Lions this season, when they have been big favorites, they've just come out and whooped the team that they're playing against. But this is certainly a game. I mean, anytime you have an offense as explosive as the Commanders, some weird things can happen. I mean, the Lions turn the ball over a couple times. All of a sudden, momentum's going to be in Washington's favor. They got the offense to take advantage of it. And some crazy things can certainly happen down the stretch. But the Lions have not shown a single instance this season that I can think of that like makes me doubt them. I mean, even against the Texans, they're down big, faced adversity, came back and won. Big moments. Week 18 against the Vikings might have been their best game all season, especially defensively. It's like seems to be the bigger the moment or in the more adversity they're facing in a game, the stronger they play. They have proven to not be a team to falter in big moments. But the same can be said about Jaden Daniels too.
They went to the NFC Championship game last year,
yeah.
Right? The Lions.
And they did have a big lead against the 49ers and kind of blew it.
Yeah, and Dan Campbell after the game basically talked about how hard it is to get to that spot, let alone crest it, and I've just been impressed with their ability to get back. Dan Campbell as a head coach to me, whether he's not an X's and O's guy, I don't care. They play hard for him in that team. I don't know what's going to happen when Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn, whatever happens if those guys leave. Doesn't matter this year because this Lions team has the pieces. They have the coordinator. They have the quarterback. They have the wide receiver. They're getting healthier because that rest off was big for the Lions. That was huge for a team that's been, as banged up as they have been. It almost feels like it's the Lions' year.
Larry says 12-5 against the spread this season. And they do say good teams win, great teams cover. The Detroit Lions have not only been winning games, but they also have the highest cover percentage in the NFL, covering a 70.6% of the games they played in this season. The Broncos were tied with them, but because the Broncos didn't cover against the Bills in wildcard weekend, they fell to 12-6. So now Lions sole possession of the top spot in the ATS standings this season. Good teams win, great teams cover. The Kansas City Chiefs 8-9 against the number.
So, according to you, 15-2, that just makes them a good team.
Yeah. I never said the Chiefs aren't a good team.
No, you just called them frauds.
Yeah, because they're not great. They don't cover the spread. I have a bet for this game, but I'll leave it till the end. It's going to be a fun one, though. I'm rooting for the Lions out of the NFC. So, and I know the Commanders are exciting, great story. Jaden Daniels, good for them, but I'm still kind of sour after that Falcons game. And like I think I talked with this on Monday, I don't like teams that keep kind of getting lucky late in the game, and the Commanders keep getting lucky. Moving on to Sunday's games, Rams and Eagles. Eagles, 6-point favorites, still only the third biggest favorite of the week at home to the Rams. This is a rematch of a Week 12 game. In that game, the Eagles won and covered. I think they won by 17 points. Sorry, I'm just bringing it up right now. I should have had this ready beforehand. It was Week 12. I was right. 37-20, they won that game, and that was the game that Saquon Barkley went for 255 yards on the ground, 26 carries, 2 touchdowns. It was Barkley's best performance of the year. It was in Los Angeles. Now this rematch is in Philadelphia. Do you expect anything different in the rematch between these two teams?
Not really. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a 17-point victory, or I don't think Saquon's going for 255.
Yeah.
But I think Saquon will have his way on the ground. I think the Eagles win this game. I like the Rams, and I think Sean McVay is a great head coach, and I trust Matt Stafford in the playoffs. Or I mean, why wouldn't you trust Matt Stafford in the playoffs? Just when you look at the teams, and again, the game's not played on paper, but on paper, the Eagles are just so much deeper. Yeah. So much more depth, a better, well-rounded team. Matt Stafford's great, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. That's fun, that's fine. But once you start getting away from the top-level players and you start getting into those secondary and tertiary guys, The Eagles just have so much more guys to throw at them. I know Nakobe Dean, that's going to be big, but the Eagles' defense has just been so good since Cooper DeJean's moved into the slot. It's been so impressive. That secondary's taken off. Zach Bond has been best deal in football at linebacker, best deal for agents. I mean, it's just insane. My thoughts. I think Nick Sirianni is a boob. I don't believe in Nick Sirianni. I don't. I think
you are consistent with calling him specifically a boob too.
I just what was that old like Drake and Josh? I feel like that's what it was called. Like like someone being dumb was a boob. That's what he seems like to me. The whole
best win percentage in the NFL.
Chiefs fans, see ya. Don't hear you talking now. Like he's just such a blowhard. I don't think he does anything. I think it's all coordinators. Because last year when these coordinators left, what happened? They were bad. What happened when he got a new coordinator? Oh, okay. Now things are going the right direction. That team is just so talented. Howie Roseman is I don't know if he's best. He's 1A, 1B with him and Brett Veach for GMs. They're both up there. Howie Roseman's incredible. I just think Nick Sirianni is just not a good coach, and they'd be a better team without him. But that talent's going to shine through. Give me the Eagles.
Anytime you consider, you're always on the verge of saying one team, one franchise is slightly better than the Chiefs. It's something you stop yourself and go, at the most, you'll say they're similar. You'll never say any. Is there? Just tell me that outside of this game, is there any team or franchise that does anything better than the Kansas City Chiefs? Name one.
Better drafting wide receivers who are head cases, the Steelers. Oh my God. Better drafting almost any wide receiver is any team besides Kansas City, besides the Patriots probably. I think Harry Roseman's incredible, but it's hard to say he's the best GM in football when it's Brett Veach and the Chiefs who are perpetually hoisting the Lombardi, 3 out of 5. How do I pick a different GM than that? That to me is, again, I love Howie Roseman. I think even putting him in the same, echelon, the same tier as Brett Veach, the man who's won 3 in 5 years, I feel like that's me being pretty unbiased right now.
Larry in the chat says this is the most difficult game to call, but he's blaming the officiating. I think Larry's getting a little conspiracy theorist on us that the refs are going to favor the Rams. Are they going to favor the Rams, Larry, because of the LA fires? Or do they want the storyline of the Rams winning it for LA? If they do, my question would be, what happened to the Chargers? Just they decided the Rams were going to be the LA team and just screw over the Chargers. Wouldn't an LA versus LA Super Bowl, wouldn't that have been the move for hashtag prayers for LA, or no? Just the Rams? Listen, I think this is actually the easiest game to call. I'm going to go Eagles in this one all season long. Not all season long. This last 2/3 of the season, every single person kind of agreed it's 5 teams and then everyone else. It's the Eagles, it's the Lions, it's the Chiefs, it's the Bills, it's the Ravens. And throughout the season, not only have those teams been winning at a high rate, they're covering the spread. Lions 12-5, Eagles 12-6, Baltimore 11-6-1. Where's the Bills? Bills 11-7, and then obviously the Chiefs, the outlier. This is not a shot of the Chiefs. I do think the Chiefs are a little overvalued in the betting market, not necessarily their fault. But my point is, this has been a pretty straightforward season where the really good teams win games. I mean, look at even the teams not in that group, the amount of wins out of the NFC North, out of one division. It was a very there was no parity. It was a polarizing season. It was the good teams are great and the bad teams stunk, and I think that's just going to continue.
I do like the Rams versus Lions would be incredible, and would it be Matt Stafford keeping the Detroit Lions from going to their first Super Bowl? That'd be wild.
That'd be a fun one.
That would be a very, very fun one. I also just think the Eagles-Lions would be electric because I think those are the 2 best teams in the NFC. I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. You know my thoughts on that.
Yeah. I'm leaning back towards the Lions. The Lions are getting, I know we passed that game, but the Lions are getting more healthy on defense. Alex Anzalone back, Terry and Arnold, full participant. Huge. No,
and that's not me taking a shot at the Lions.
Sure.
That's not what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I lean the Lions a little bit over the Eagles, but it's not, I'm not going to argue. That's
coaching staff, Lions. Quarterback, semi-wash. Offensive line, semi-wash. But I give a pretty big boost to the defense of the Eagles over the Lions.
Not going to argue with you. That'll be Lions. If those 2 teams meet in the NFC Championship, it'll probably be Lions -1.5, -2 because they're at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the Eagles I think people are overvaluing the Rams a little bit. I know they got kind of hot late in the season. I do think their win against the Vikings on Monday night was more so a case the Vikings just completely imploded and regressed at the worst time possible, and the Rams took advantage of it. I'm not kind of giving a ton of brownie points for the Rams for that win, but I could be proven wrong. But I think the Eagles. My whole point in this rant is I think the Eagles are just in a different class of team right now.
Agreed.
All right, let's wrap up with the game of the week. Do you agree?
Yes, 100%.
It is the Baltimore Ravens. It is the Buffalo Bills. There is an argument to be made, I would say, but let's not go down this route. The Ravens and the Bills, in my opinion, are the two best teams right now in the AFC. I get the Chiefs. We don't need to rehash that argument. The point is, two very, very good teams of the group of five that we mentioned, who we all can agree are the best five in the NFL. This is the only matchup this weekend where two of them are playing in the same game.
Yes, I am thrilled to watch this game. Thrilled.
Yeah, and the Chiefs likely get to take on like a beaten down opponent in the AFC Championship.
It's awesome. It's great. I mean, it could have been the Steelers and the Broncos. Like, sure, that's ideal. Or it wouldn't be them because the Broncos be playing Kansas City. So it'd been Steelers and Chargers or Texans.
Yeah,
but.
I guess now, at least this way, like they're guaranteed to have to face one of the Bills or Ravens.
So. Yeah, of course. And this is fun, man. I like when the Chiefs, when your team plays and beats the other best teams. It makes it way more. I like the Bills, dude. I love watching the Bills play football. Josh Allen's the second best quarterback in the NFL. I'm not huge on Sean McDermott. I think Harbaugh's probably the better coach here. But there's so many storylines of can Lamar finally, get over the hump? Can he beat the Bills in a big time game? Can he have a good game? The Ravens defense is coming on strong at the right time. Their run defense has been great all year long, but now their pass defense is all of a sudden really coming together. The Bills, they're offensively just humming along, and it's not one guy. It's a plethora of dudes. It's Mac Hollins at times. It's Amari Cooper. It's Dalton Kincaid. It's Dawson Knox. It's Keon Coleman. It's Curtis Samuel. It's Khalil Shakur. James Cook. I mean, they don't really have an elite guy on that roster weapon wise, but they're all good enough. And Josh Allen is just so playing at such a high level, man. I just really enjoy watching this Bills team. For me, I'm just excited to sit back and watch some damn good football. I hope it's close. I hope it comes on the wire. I hope there's something that we come away from this game with a new storyline. And maybe that storyline's Lamar finally gets it done. But I think we'll learn something from this game that will take one of these teams in a very positive direction heading into Arrowhead.
Really quick, speaking of Curtis Samuel and Mac Hollins, I don't know if you saw last week DraftKings did a thing. It was like King of the End Zone or something. And if you bet on any player on Sunday to score a touchdown, and that player ends up having the longest touchdown of the day, then everyone who bet that player to score a touchdown splits $1 million in bonus bets. So my strategy was, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to take long shots for every game, because then like you don't want to take a favorite, because if you take like Terry McLaurin and he's the longest touchdown, you're going to get like $20 because everyone's going to take them.
Sure.
So for the Bills game, I was deciding between Mac Hollins and Curtis Samuel, and I went Mac Hollins, and it was Curtis Samuel, and only like 130 people took Curtis Samuel, and they all got like 13 grand each. And I literally looked at the two players for like a minute and went Mac Hollins, Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins. One of those guys is going to score a long one. I went Mac Hollins, and it was goddamn Curtis Samuel. Would have won 13 grand.
I feel so bad for you. I actually do.
Yeah.
That blows. That a lot of. You would have, if that were the case. I feel even worse, because the Chiefs would have won in the double or nothing bet. You could have just given me a.
I would have.
Yeah,
I would have treated the team to a nice dinner in New Orleans on that.
Yeah, now I actually feel worse for me. I feel like I'm the one who got ripped off.
I mean, listen, I didn't lose. I lost $5, so it's not about losing, but just like my strategy was sound. I just picked the wrong of the two guys.
No, that's a great strategy.
Yeah,
it's a great strategy.
Regardless, this game, Ravens and Bills, I think. Well, here, I got a stat. I know you're not a big stat guy. I think this is.
I love stats. I don't know why you said I'm not a big stat guy. I like certain stats. I think a lot of times stats can be painted to use a certain narrative in football. Baseball, I'm a massive stat guy, because 162, I think it evens out. Like I think baseball, I'm a massive stat guy.
Sure.
NFL, I'm a lot less, because I think the eye test matters more in football than in baseball. Just my 2 cents, because of the game differential.
Well, you'll be happy to know I'm not going to cite net yards per play. Since week 10, the Baltimore Ravens defense ranks third in opponent EPA per play, second in opponent success rate. Since week 10, the Bills defense in those two stats ranks 32nd and 31st. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's concerning. If I'm a Bills fan, that stat scares me.
Can I offer you this, though?
Yes.
Josh Allen has been pretty good in the playoffs, and that offense is humming for Buffalo.
Can I offer you a counterpoint to your counterpoint? Josh Allen's worst career performances are against the Ravens. 1-3 against the Ravens, like a 42% completion percentage. His numbers against Jim Harbaugh's defense are horrific.
Can I offer a counterpoint to your counterpoint to your counterpoint?
Of course.
Of course, okay. Lamar Jackson is buns in the playoffs.
Okay. I mean, he's had some good performances, but I
know
they've
never mattered. We did this whole thing. When I pulled it up. I wish I still had the sheet. We looked at his stats. They're pretty darn bad. This past wild card round game was great. He was really good. Okay, you beat the Steelers. That's no one. You had to beat the Steelers. If you lose to the Steelers, you are now a pariah. You're getting booted out. Joe Flacco's coming back. Oh, is he elite? I mean, seriously, that would have been a almost game ending Raven quarterback play right there if he were to lose to the Steelers. You got to beat the good teams. No one cares about you having a good game against them. Do it against the Bills. Do it against the Chiefs. Now we'll talk. You have an opportunity to flip the switch and change the narrative. That has to happen, though.
Can I now say a point that then agrees with that point?
Yes, of course.
I'm concerned about Lamar Jackson in the cold because he's verbally said he hates the cold. He hates playing in the cold. It's still like 20 degrees above freezing in like late September, and he's on the sideline like dressed like he's in the Arctic, which is concerning. But then if I were to say a counterpoint to that point, it'd be imagine having to tackle Derrick Henry in freezing cold temperatures. Tackling Derrick Henry is hard enough. Tackling Derrick Henry when it's supposed to be, I think, 8 degrees below Celsius or 8 degrees below 0 Celsius. I don't know what that is Fahrenheit. I think it's 18-ish Fahrenheit. Having to tackle Derrick Henry.
Counterpoint to your approval to your counterpoint with another counterpoint, of course. What happens if the Ravens get down? Derrick Henry becomes a non-factor, and then Lamar has to throw in the cold.
I think unless the lead is more than 14 points or it's in the fourth quarter, you continue to just run Derrick Henry.
Okay.
Jalen says, it's about to feel like Iain hometown in Canada, frigid game, Buffalo better be ready to tackle. Yeah, it's good. And to add to that, Derrick Henry torched the Bills in week 4. The Ravens averaged 8 yards per carry against the Bills in week 4.
Let's do our picks. Let's start with. Okay, you start where you want.
Oh, we always go spread upset. No, let's go spread total upset, but we'll start with spread.
Okay.
I'll go first because it's kind of. I'm taking the Eagles. Like, I mean, just to reiterate, I think they're just a different class of team. It's a spread of below a touchdown. I think it should not be below a touchdown. I think it should be above a touchdown. I think it should be 7.5. Matt Stafford, very good game against the Vikings, but overall, not enough people are talking about Matt Stafford's kind of been a below-average quarterback this season. Don't really trust in the Rams' defense. Their biggest strength is their pass rush. Now they got to go up against one of the best offensive lines in football. I think the Eagles run all over them.
Like it. I love that one. By the way, I went 2-1 last week. I don't know if we have given that. I went 2-1 last week with my upset pick. Commanders, they won.
Yeah.
Steelers plus 9.5 did not hit, but Bills Broncos under 46.5 did hit. So I ended up going 2-1 with my upset pick hitting.
I went 1-2, only pick hit Vikings Rams, but I hit my touchdown score Monday night. That was north of 2-1 odds. That was like plus 215. TJ Hawkinson.
Boys aren't doing too bad.
Spread bet.
Okay. I'm doing 9.5 with the Commanders. I didn't love it. There's only 2 spread bets I really like in this one, and you took one of them, and the other one I like the upset in it better. So I think
in the playoffs we're allowed to have the same pick if you do want to go Eagles.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Commanders plus 9.5. I just think a backdoor cover 9.5 is a lot of points. I mean, that's just a lot. So
I don't disagree. Upset pick of the week. You already know it. I'm obligated to take the Texans. I cannot guarantee the Chiefs are going to lose in their first playoff game and then come on here and don't take the Texans. So I have placed my bet. I'm on the Texans, and I got to hope for a near miracle.
There's really only one game that I think an upset's going to happen in, and it's the Bills. I don't mean to take the lowest one. I believe in the Bills.
Yeah, I mean every other spread's pretty big, so I'm not going to judge.
And I've believed in the Bills all season long, really, and I believe in Josh Allen and the Bills in this one. Come playoff time, I trust Josh more than Lamar. And again, Lamar has a chance to flip the switch and change that narrative. And if that happens, I'll be happy for him. I'll be thrilled for him. I mean, that'll be a huge weight lifted off his back, right? That's difficult to shake. So for Lamar's sake, I hope he does, but I just have too much confidence in the way this Bills offense is moving right now. I know all the statistics you brought up. I get it. On paper, the Ravens should win this game, but again, I don't think the game's played on paper. When it's played on the field, I like Buffalo.
Yeah, and to your point, that's why I'm not going to judge you for not taking one of the other teams to pull off an upset. Like I said earlier in the show, this season has been the best teams just win games, and we've identified the 5 best teams since early October. And if that still holds true, then those 3 teams that don't play against another top 5 team will win, which will be the Eagles, Chiefs, and Lions. And then you have to pick one of the Bills or Ravens, and it's basically a coin flip game. I mean, the Bills opened as a favorite, but it flipped. Yeah. So. All right, total. I'm just going to go over between the Commanders and Lions. I don't want to touch the spread in this game. I'm just going to sit back and root for points. 2 offenses that rank top 5 in virtually every single offensive category. A Commanders defense that has been average to below average all season. A Lions defense that still has some key injuries. I know 55.5 is a high total. I actually think it should be a little bit higher than that. I think it's an offensive shootout of a game.
I hope so. 55.5 is a ton. That's a lot. That's 28-27 and the under hits.
Yeah. Yeah, because that'd be 55.
55, yeah. 30 to 24 under hits.
Yep.
That's a lot. I like the over. I hope the over hits, but that's just, I wasn't going to touch that one. I like the Rams Eagles over 43.5.
Yeah, I like that one too.
That seemed low at first glance. I get the Eagles defense has played some really, really good ball. Both teams can run the football and have longer drives. I get that. I just felt like 43.5 was low, and so I'm going with my gut on this one. Big gut guy over here. Give me the over.
I don't disagree with any of your picks. I like them all.
Wow. Hey. I like this Iain.
Look at us.
I want to see this Iain more often. This is the Iain I want to see in New Orleans.
Well, you didn't make a pick on the Chiefs game. And I don't think you did when we talked with the show. So I mean, let's just talk point spread. Obviously, I know you think the Chiefs win, but do you think they cover 8.5? That's a fairly big number.
I don't think they cover 8.5.
Okay. All right, I'll take it.
I think it's close.
They won by 8 on. So I mean, same spread for. Also, it is kind of strange to me that spread was 3.5. It's 5. It's 5. We've seen enough between week 16 and now to change the spread by 5 points.
No Tankdale, but Tankdale's not worth 5 points. That's not worth 5 points.
Tankdale's not worth 5 points. Correct. All right, there you go. That is the show. Subscribe to Stack in the Box on YouTube. Like this video. Leave a comment with your picks for this weekend. Leave a comment to if you think the Texans are going to win. Leave a comment, and I'll shout you out on the next show. Speaking of the next show, we will be not live on Monday because that is, I believe, MLK Day, correct?
Correct.
So we'll be back next Wednesday. We'll recap the divisional round. I'll be dancing on the graves of Chiefs fans, and then we will preview the conference championship games, which will be Ravens against Texans and Eagles against Lions. Larry Sports Talk. Last comment of the day. He says Casey up 10 late in the game with 10 seconds left. Houston kicks a field goal. Good. Oh, and then I see what you're saying. Then Texans would cover the number because of the field goal, and then try an onside kick. Chiefs jump on it. I could see.
We have the opposite AFC picks. The complete opposite.
Yeah, you got Bills, Chiefs. Yeah, which I could see, but we're both on Eagles Lions. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Talk to you next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Bye.